Hey folks, it's David back again with another video. Welcome back to the channel. And I'm going to do this headset free this evening and hope that all is well because I'm tired of wearing that big old thing with its flaking black pieces of plastic because it's so old and dusty. It is 12:33 a.m. In the morning as I'm finally getting this done. I saw Twisters today, or actually yesterday, Sunday the 18th, at the AMC Mobile, Alabama. I think maybe you can actually make out the ink on that thing this time. No, it's going to be too blurry. But at least it printed out a little bit better than the stubs at the D'Iberville Grand Theater 18 over there in D'Iberville, Mississippi. Although I really like that place, and I'm going to try and do something tomorrow that I've never done before. I'm kind of working up the nerve to make my delivery over the road trucking, and then because my next pickup isn't an appointment based thing, I'm going to try and sneak in. Well, not sneak in. I'm going to try and go on a break that will allow me to get over there in the semi tractor trailer and see if I can't get this movie watched. That is, I'm going to go try and see M. Night Shyamalan's Trap. Trapped. Or is it Trap or Trapped? I can't even remember. I just know it's got Josh Hartnett in it. Anyways, I enjoyed this film. Twisters. I really love the first movie with Helen Hunt, Bill Paxton, from all those years ago, and we really miss Bill Paxton. Let me go ahead and look up the original film and see what other names I need to go ahead and sound off just for old time's sake. It's been so long since I've seen that movie. 1996 it came out. Yes, that's the only other couple of names I would have remembered. Philip Seymour Hoffman, who was in there, and Carrie Elwes as the not really a bad guy, but sort of the obnoxious rival guy, as I remember him. Anyways, let me just spend a few minutes talking about this movie. This is going to be my review, my impressions of it. First things first, when I first saw that trailer a few months back, I was thinking, oh, great. This is going to be another pointless prequel. Who is this guy, this Glenn guy? Glenn Powell. Who does he think he is? He's obviously the he's going to be the good-looking cowboyish rugged guy. He's going to be arrogant, and I'm not going to like him. Wrong. I liked you love this guy's swagger. At least I did from the first second you see him in the movie, because Glenn Powell just sells it the same way he did in Maverick, and I cracked up so hard. I remember this scene all the time from Maverick when there he is, the cocky young pilot, captain rank, and yet when Maverick comes to teach him all, he's there. He's got his plane or something. You hear he has like this 3 second line. He says, "This guy needs an ego check." I was like, "He needs an ego check." No, you guy, you're a cocky young pilot yourself. Anyways, let me get into Twisters a little bit here. I enjoyed him, and I enjoyed this young lady. I want to get her name right. It's Daisy Edgar Jones. I've never seen her anything before this. She was in a movie that I never watched, but it's the only name I even recognize, where the Crawdads sing. Maybe I'll give that a watch one day whenever I have the chance. It's just, it is so difficult for me to watch movies the way that I want to watch movies. What do you mean by that, David? I mean, I don't want to be, even though I might have a couple hours in the evening when I'm done with my trucking, wherever I land, wherever I park in this great big country of ours, I don't want to get on my phone and just hold it up and watch a movie. I want to watch a movie. I want to be in my comfort zone, maybe not with comfort food, and just watch a movie on my on my terms. Basically, I hate watching stuff on the fly. I've never really done that. It's too close to YouTube, and when people go through all that they go through to make these big budget productions, a lot of them like this one, 160 something $1 million was the budget for Twisters. I knew I wanted to see it once I kind of warmed to the idea, because like I said, when I first saw the trailer, I was like, it's not going to be as good as the first movie. It can't be. And even though in my heart, maybe it is a little bit of a nostalgia thing. I would put that one first before this one. This was an excellent film in my view, and it's not just because I had a great day. Went to worship services, West Mobile. We had lunch with some friends from church. We went to grab a little food that I'm going to have cooked up. I'm going to take over the road trucking, and then we saw this movie at 5:15 p.m. And what was great about this theater experience was, even though this movie Twisters has been out for like a month, like roughly a month, you would think it would have lost steam by now. Maybe it was a Sunday, because it's a Sunday today or yesterday when I actually saw it, or maybe it was something else. But there must have been 20 or more, maybe 25 people in there. It was excellent to be able to see this movie with other people and not just me and my mother and my sister in an empty theater. There were people in there, and it made me feel good. In fact, when we were pulling into um, the theater, the parking, I was like, it's not a completely packed lot or anything, and the little side lanes on the side of the building, you don't want to park at the AMC, by the way, in Mobile, Alabama, by the way, because back in the day when it was Winsong 16, back in 2002-ish time frame, something like that, I parked on the side of that building. And long story short, when I came in that night, having watched Spider-Man 2 or Attack of the Clones, whatever it was, somebody had knocked a hole in we got robbed. They robbed the car there at AMC. So park in the front where I'm sure more cameras are and more people walking. If you ever go to the AMC in Mobile, Alabama. Now, again, it was Carmike, or it was Winsong 16 back in those days. Now it's AMC. Anyways, back on point. I enjoyed the movie. It had such a dramatic opening, but it's still something predictable. In as much as when you've seen as many movies as I have, and maybe you as well, you just knew something bad was going to happen to this young woman and her friends. And sure enough, something real bad happens to him. She got a little ahead of herself in her expertise as a storm chaser, a meteorologist, a tornado expert, basically. And that's another thing. She's 26 years old in real life, basically playing somebody that old or maybe a little older in the film. And that's another thing about the trailer that bothered me. I'm like, these guys look like they're in their look like teeny bopper. What is this? Glenn Powell's going to come off. Look, what is he supposed to be, like Robert Redford? He's supposed to be an older guy. What is this? They look like kids. How much authority and expertise can that girl, as I thought of her watching the trailer, how much expertise and authority can she have to lead a crew of storm chasers and stuff? But in the movie, they sell it. Yeah, they're young, mostly inexperienced, but there's something about how should I say? Maybe it is the youthful exuberance, how excited they are to be doing what they're doing, and they're in a wild, dangerous occupation, storm chasing, especially tornadoes, and it's just kind of a wild ride. But there was almost like a horror movie element to it, in as much as you're thinking, are you crazy? What are you doing? It's a tornado. It kills people. It causes destruction a mile wide and snaps trees. And as we were pulling into the yard from watching the movie, I said, you know what? That scene of the chicken after the guy runs through the storm and he accidentally kills a chicken house. He says, I think I killed some chickens. And then when it goes calm again and the tornadoes pass, all of a sudden, buck, 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 there's a chicken hen right on the thing. I said, as we were pulling in the yard, we didn't see any flying cows in this movie. Twister had some flying cows. We couldn't get a flying cow. All we got is a chicken in this movie. Anyways, it was a really dramatic opening, and it was exactly I guess the inexperience of this young crew of people that was really giving that anxious vibe to me. I'm like, they only think they know what they're doing. Yeah, she knows a lot about storms and how these things are forming, and it's supposed to be a once in a lifetime super overactive tornado causing weather patterns this year or something. And they get a little bit into the climate change, but not really. It's not too preachy. It's not. It's not. I was pleased with the way they went about this stuff, because it's not like they were saying, "Hey, man is causing man is altering the weather," and yet at the same time they were. And it's maybe the more I think about it, maybe I shouldn't praise the movie too much, in as much as they had a really subtle way of going about this stuff that actually made it like a pleasing romantic tale. And not that it's a love story, but it's about passions. And as much as these guys are obsessed with with storm chasing and tornadoes, especially her. What is her character's name again? Uh, it's Daisy Edgar Jones. She plays Kate Carter. Glenn Powell is Tyler Owens, and he's the tornado wrangler. And really, by the end of the movie, he's wrangling for her, because he something of a crush develops there. And I'm going to go ahead and skip to talking about this part, just in case I don't remember to talk about it as I'm rambling here and getting through my little review. I had heard about some controversial kiss, quote unquote, that was in the movie or not in the movie. I didn't pay it much mind, because I'm like, I've already decided to watch the movie, so I'll just find out for myself what in the world they're talking about. Apparently, maybe there was some kiss at the end between these two, that they had like fallen for each other in the course of getting to know each other, and the adventure, and just what they were finally able to accomplish. I'll talk about that in a second, but let me go ahead and get this out of the way. Are they or are they not going to kiss at the end? That's what I was thinking, because in the course of the film, you see the character played by uh, Anthony Ramos, Javi. Let me. What has he been in before? It seems like I've seen him before. Was he in a Fast and Furious movie? Let me. Let me. You know what? So I've seen. Seems like I've seen this guy, and now I'm not going to be able to keep going unless I finally get this, until I actually answer this question. Was he in a Fast and Furious movie? Where did I see him? I've seen him somewhere. Godzilla, King of the Monsters? Was that it? I can't remember what he was in there. Okay, I'm not seeing any. I'm not seeing any. Um, Fast and the Furious. What was he in Godzilla, King of the Monsters? Staff Sergeant Martinez. I thought I saw. Maybe I don't. Maybe it's just my imagination. Maybe I'm just mistaking him stupidly for someone else, and that's my own. I'm embarrassed now. Like, where have I seen this guy from? Because he didn't strike me as familiar at first, but now he does. Anyways, he clearly cares for Kate. He was the only surviving team member from when they worked together years before. He went into the military and got to work with some radar and some basically some high tech equipment, very compatible with what he was doing before with storm chasing and trying to get weather patterns and readings and whatnot of how to rate tornadoes, how to detect them early, storm chaser technology, basically. So that's how he approaches Kate, who in a way is still mourning for the loss of, I guess it was Jeb, played by Daryl McCormick. And again, spoilers, obviously. I just gave something away, obviously. If you haven't seen the film yet, maybe I should go ahead and put spoilers in the title of this review just to be safe. Maybe people don't want something like that ruined. But he clearly cares for her. And yet by the end of the movie, it's like he's gotten to this point where he has an arc of his own where he's gotten closure for himself for what he's been doing and how he has dealt with his grief and what he chose to do with his life. It's an interesting thing to watch that take place, because it sure enough did take place, particularly with a scene with David Corn Sweat playing the character Scott. They work for like a more corporate. Uh, it's a play on predatory capitalism. At least that's what is said of it in this article. And this is the only thing I'm going to refer to you outside of my own thoughts on this movie. I'm going to share a screen here real quick so you can see exactly what I'm talking about. I saw a review. Well, no, I didn't see a review. I just saw a little blurb, you might say, for this movie a few weeks back that referred to it as the most satisfying movie of the summer. And there was something about that word satisfying where I thought to myself, oh, great. That actually sounds like a thoughtful thing they're saying now, because usually they have some obnoxious terminology to hype up summer movies. But somebody had said this is the most satisfying thing this summer, and they maybe said something else that I was sucked in at that point. I'd already started thinking, you know what, I want to see some movies this summer, and so I started to think about, do I want to see Twisters? And yeah, I kind of want to see Twisters. When I didn't at first, because I was like, oh great, it's another cash grab sequel. They're just going to try and rehash some stuff. But no, they actually flipped the script in some ways from the first movie uh, in this I'll go and say this legacy franchise, in as much as there was already a movie called Twister, and it's like a classic film in my mind. I love Twister. Well, this is the closest thing that I can find to what that was as far as what I had read. Look at this. It's an IndieWire by David Ehrlich. Twisters review. Glenn Powell and Daisy Edgar Jones deliver classic emblem thrills and one of the most satisfying movies of the year. This is the closest thing that I can find to what that was because of that word satisfying. Now, I want you to disregard this odd image here, because that's that's obviously a clip of an image from the ending of the film. I can tell you that, but there's something about the way Glenn Powell. It's almost. I think this is AI generated. Believe it or not, at least that's the way it comes off of me, because Glenn Powell's hand here looks. He has no wrist. He has no wrist, and his fingers look like they're like if he were born with a flipper or something. This looks like a messed up image that made me think of AI. Maybe it's just a bad photo or a weird angle. I'm just saying. I noticed it, so I pointed it out. Look at that. That looks really off. Minari director Lee Isaac Chung refuses to let his characters get blown away by the $200 million spectacle that's swirling around them. I have no idea what that means. But in here is where they said something about oh yeah, look at this. They're making a play on the fact that we've got to get everyone into the movie theater. When they said that at the end of the film, when people try and take shelter in this town in a movie theater, I thought, oh great, that's pretty subtle. That's pretty good. But they say something down here about predatory capitalism, and I'm thinking to myself, exactly what are they trying to say? Because yeah, there's this insurance group. Well, not an insurance group. It's basically a it reminds me of kind of like BlackRock. It's the closest thing I can think in real life to compare this to. That you see an ad in the film when Glenn has basically confronted. I'll go ahead and say, kind of confronted her with when she seemed like she was being a little too hoity-toity with him. When he said, "Do you even realize who you're working for?" And apparently, it's what these people are making off as predatory capitalists. I'm not sure exactly what that means, in as much as is it just the fact that this guy is trying to buy people's homes and land after they've been wiped out by a tornado? I guess that could be considered predatory. Seems more like a scavenger or vulture capitalism than a predatory capitalism. But what do I know? These terms, it just depends on what people are talking about. I guess it really doesn't matter. But that's a plot point in the movie. The fact that Anthony Ramos has invited Kate Carter, Daisy Edgar's character, to help him get the readings of a tornado using this super scanning technology that he was able to get prototypes of from his time in the military. He didn't say it was from the military, just that his job was linked from his time in the military. It's an interesting thing, and that's how these people all get back together and they go storm chasing together. And as soon as they land in Oklahoma, all of a sudden it's just on. It's very entertaining, fast paced. You like seeing the you just like seeing. I just enjoyed seeing the different characters, the way Glenn was and the way she was, the differences in the two crews. How there's one crew that's they're like a bunch of yahoos, storm chasers, not many PhDs or fancy equipment, as Glenn Powell says at one point in the movie, and then the others, they got their their name tags and their pre- freshly pressed uniform type things, more orderly, more corporate looking, more uniform. Basically, they literally have uniforms, whereas the other crew wears whatever they want, and they all look like they're from all over the world. And granted, the other crew also does. It's just you see their demeanor. One is corporate, and one is they're trying to have fun. They have a literal Glenn Powell's crew literally has a, yeah, we're on YouTube. Well, what are we up to? Like 1 million subscribers? Maybe you'll be in the maybe you'll be in this live stream. And I was thinking, yeah, this is definitely a movie for the present day, isn't it? But one thing that bothered me about the film, not very much, because again, they went about it in such a subtle way that you almost didn't notice it. At least I didn't. Whereas the first film, which I guess I kind of like it better for this reason, Helen Hunt had the little deals that go up into the little sensors that go up into the funnel cloud, the tornado, the twister, to get readings, to find out how fast it's going, to map it from the inside out, to study tornadoes. That in itself is such a phenomenal thing. It's so amazing. They go they go too far with it in my view in this movie, and yet again they do it in such a subtle way. It's such a romanticized thing that it comes off as just, well, let me explain. She's trying to figure out ways to stop tornadoes, literally. They don't get too preachy with the climate change. They just go full bore past man is causing horrible weather events to happen with fossil fuels or anything like that. There's not even a mention of that in the movie, I don't think. They just go right to, let's control the weather by being able to stop tornadoes. Not a terrible lot of dialogue that I could remember about man causing the destructive weather to happen, but human beings can stop tornadoes. Can you make it make sense? It doesn't make sense. It doesn't make sense at all. But again, spoilers. They tweak their technology. They figure out what they're doing wrong in the course of the movie, and in the end, they actually stop a tornado that's threatening to completely suck everybody out of the movie theater and kill them. Maybe that's a message to all of us. Come to think of it, maybe that's a shot across the bow. Maybe that's sending a message to all of us, like you're gonna get sucked out of the movie theater one day while you're trying to enjoy yourself by a killer F5 tornado if you don't straighten up and be more kind to the earth or whatever. Again, though, they didn't go into the obnoxious preaching the way so many movies have that just make you roll your eyes. It's like, I'm sorry I paid money for this. I don't regret watching this movie. It was this romanticized thing because of this one line of dialogue in particular when Ramos's character Javi is saying goodbye to Kate, and she's going on the going to the airport at the end. There's this thing that happens where he says, "You're going to tell him everything that happened. You're going to tell him that you're that what you did." I'm not even going to bother trying to explain whatever they said in the movie that she lets fly into the tornado to cause it to die out and fade away. It made so little sense to me. He just said, you're going to tell them that this happened, but they're not going to believe you. And that, I just thought to myself, oh, how clever, how clever. So you can stop tornadoes with this because they just stopped a tornado, but no one's going to believe you. It's just them. They know the truth. And so there's this intrigue. And I thought to myself that, well, isn't that just so great? Because you know that that's the truth, or not the truth, but that's an observation of how people are. There are predatory people who love uh, swooping in and buying up land and property and stuff after people have just been wiped out. They demonstrate that in the film, and so that's what the big fish, the fat cats, the corporate moneyed interests. That's what they want to continue. But we know what you did, Kate. We know you can stop you can stop a tornado from being. You can throw your baking soda or whatever it was into the sky, and it'll swirl up and it'll die down, and so that it won't go into the town and destroy people's lives and kill people, cost people their lives and their fortunes and their livelihoods and everything they have, their loved ones, just devastate people, because multiple towns are devastated in this film as the story unfolds. And so I thought, oh, well, how clever, how clever. What a good line. I like it. I immediately recognized that, like, oh, great. That's good. Nobody will know but us for now. But we're going to have our day. We're going to get our big grant money. And he's making doing his fingers again because he's about that grant money. This Ramos character, Javi, he, he's looking forward to more storm chasing. And so it's just fun. It's a fun movie, and I enjoyed it, and I didn't actually talk about what I meant to talk about a second ago. This controversial kiss, it doesn't happen. Something happens that I thought, this is actually good. She doesn't like give in to Glenn Powell's character, forgetting his name again, Tyler, his advances as far as his interest in her romantically that have come about over the past few days of them getting to know each other and this crazy storm chasing adventure that they basically been on together. And Ramos character Javi, I keep calling him Ramos because that's what's on the tip of my tongue, and not Javi. He's Javi in the movie. He says, "Come on, man!" Like he disses him a little bit. Like, did you really? I was thinking, what is he getting at? Is he getting at? You really think she'd ever go for a guy like you, or something like that? Or really, man, you're just gonna let her walk out of your life without even trying to say what you feel? It could have been either. It could have been either thing. I don't know what he was getting at. Was like, really, man. I don't know what he was after. All I know is Tyler gets into the truck, and Glenn Powell's hilarious face as he's looking down, like, what just happened? Did this just really happen? What am I doing wrong here? He's got the most hilarious face as the guy, the parking attendant at the airport, is saying, "What is your deal? Move the car," because he's been telling them, "You got to move. This is the no parking. You can't be here for more than a minute to drop somebody off." And it's the most hilarious thing. My mom said, "He's not there. That is awful." He puts the ground mounts, the anchor technology, the drills into the ground to keep their off-road all-terrain vehicles or whatever from being blown away by a tornado, grounds them into the ground, anchors them, so he can't be towed while this thing is anchored in the ground while he goes in and talks to her. And you make like, you're thinking, oh great, he's gonna spin her around, he's gonna tell her he loves her or something, he's gonna kiss her. No, that's not what happens. What happens is he's about to talk, she's about to talk, the intercom comes on saying, unexpected inclement weather, expect delays in your flight or something like that. I'm like, oh great, that's a perfect thing for this movie. And so I can't remember what they last say to each other because I'm still just floored by how funny the whole thing leading up to that was. But there is no kiss or whatever Steven Spielberg had cut out of the movie. And what I was left with from watching all these characters was just how tastefully it was done. That ending and the way they went, it kind of what they're going away together, hanging out more, going to be working together. But it's like there was no definite thing. There wasn't anything distasteful. The characters had closure. Characters had grown. They had accomplished what they wanted to accomplish in the end with this technology they were experimenting with. She saved many people's lives in this story, and a really dramatic scene at the end. I won't give that away, but it's good, and the music was good. My one complaint against the acting was this one scene where Glenn Powell's character Tyler is just blown away when he realizes exactly how amazing what her idea is as far as trying to intercept a tornado, or whatever the word that he used for. I keep calling it die down, make a tornado fizzle out and go away or whatever. And he's getting carried away and getting all excited, and she's becoming emotional with what he's asking her to do as far as making the leap to go after a storm to try this again, what they tried in the beginning of the film. And she breaks down and kind of in an emotional scene talking about how she was wrong. I got it wrong in the moment, in the field. I got it wrong. And it like cost her friends their lives. But that wasn't all her fault. But it's what happened. And I'm like, come on, come on, come on. Got to get her name right again. Come on, Daisy. Come on, you're almost there. Like, she was like sniffling and stuff. And it was almost like watching some woman on a YouTube video. These women complain about their lives or whatever. There were no tears. And I'm like, come on. You cry. That was the one acting scene where I was like, come on now, you can do better. There was no tears. Tears should have started to be flooding at that moment, at least a little bit of a drizzle. But they kind of cheated because she kind of looked away and then she looked back, and then all of a sudden they were in the shadow. There were a couple like, I don't usually critique acting a whole lot, so long as it all just flows together well enough. But that was one scene where I was like, come on, where are the tears? Come on now. Anyway, it is what it is. I enjoyed the film. I enjoyed the different. I enjoyed the cruise and the British guy who was doing a story as a journalist, tagging along with these crazy American storm chasers, and the funny banter of all of them was great. And yeah, I'll just go ahead and say that and not get too much into any of the particulars, I guess, except for one thing. This character Scott, played by David Cornsweet, when he has this scene where he's just exploding with anger at Javi, like saying, "Stop the car, stop the," because Javi wants to go, and it's toward the end of the film. It is the end of the film when Javi's like, "We can't do it. The storm isn't the one. We got to go help these people. We're not in position." But Scott's character wants to go ahead and triangulate the three scanners that they have the whole movie. They're trying to get a scanner, a 3D scan, getting in front of the tornado, and then one here to make a nice little triangulated scan of a whole tornado, and how nuts it is to even try that in my mind. But hey, it's a movie, and you have fun with movies. And he blows up, and when he says, "I don't care about the people," it's like, whoa, what next? He was kind of a snotty guy earlier, but you didn't think he was kind of like evil like that. But I won't say what happens. I'll just say it's a great scene. The way I'll just say it this way: the way he and Javi part ways at that in that scene of the movie. You know what I'm talking about. If you've seen the movie, you you know what I'm talking about. It was very good, and yeah, I liked it. I'm glad I watched it, and it's a rare gem for me that I can get a generally positive feedback from not only my mother but also my sister. That's a good little movie, and just really enjoyed it. They enjoyed it. I enjoyed it. I'm glad I saw it at the theater. I didn't want to miss it. I didn't want to miss this at the theater. I enjoy seeing movies like this in the theater. Unfortunately, had to go use the restroom because of the sugary drink that I drank with the popcorn, and I feel like I missed a key moment in the movie. Actually, it was after that emotional, what should have been more emotional, in my opinion, by Daisy Edgar. What was it that made her finally go back? I missed like 3 minutes of the movie, so I guess I gotta go back and watch that sometime whenever I can. Let me go ahead and stop this though. Thank you so much for listening to me, folks, as I give my thoughts, fresh from the theater, sort of. We saw it like 6 hours ago, about this movie. Uh, I'd say give it a watch, especially if you like the first movie. It's like the first movie, but not. I'll say that. There are different dynamics, there are different character arcs, there are different. It's not the same as Twister. It's people chasing tornadoes, but their life stories are. It's a good sequel. It's a good continuation of storm chasing movies in this franchise. I'm not saying I want to see a lot of more Twister movies, but I'm just saying the last one was 1996, and so yeah, it it was a neat little treat. Dare I watch Beetlejuice though? That was one of the trailers that we saw before the movie started. Uh, we'll see. We'll see. I don't know. Anyways, till next time, folks. Thank you so much for listening to me, and we'll see you in the next video review. Take care.